My beloved child, listen carefully, because this moment was not chosen at random. What you are feeling right now, the sudden restlessness, the quiet awareness, the sense that something within you has shifted, is not imagination. Archangel Michael stands near you in this hour, sword lowered, but eyes alert, because something ancient and powerful has awakened inside your spirit. And yes, it hath been noticed. There are moments in life when heaven leans closer and the unseen realm grows silent to observe. This is one of those moments. You did not stumble into this message by chance. The awakening within you has sent a signal, not only upward, but outward. Forces that once ignored you are now paying attention, not because you are weak, but because you are becoming dangerous to darkness through light. Hear this clearly. What has awakened in you is not fear, not pride, and not confusion. It is authority, long dormant, carefully protected, and activated only when your soul was ready to carry it. Archangel Michael says this awakening is a mark placed by divine timing. It is the moment when a watcher becomes a warrior, and a survivor becomes a threat to limitation. You may have noticed changes already. Old habits no longer satisfy you. Certain conversations drain you. Some people feel uncomfortable around your silence. This is because your spirit frequency has shifted. Light exposes without speaking. Truth disrupts without shouting. And when that light grows brighter, even the most watchful shadows take notice. Do not misunderstand this warning. This is not meant to frighten you. It is meant to prepare you. When the adversary watches closely, it is never because you are losing, it is because you are rising. The enemy does not monitor those who are asleep. Attention is given only to those who are beginning to remember who they are. Archangel Michael is clear. The awakening in you was triggered by endurance. You survived what should have broken you. You stood when you were expected to fall. You chose integrity when compromise would have been easier. Each choice strengthened a core within you, and now that core has ignited. This is why resistance felt heavy lately. Pressure always increases just before promotion. But here is what you must understand next, and do not miss this. Awakening without alignment can become exhaustion. Power without discipline can scatter. That is why this message comes now, at the very beginning. You are not being warned because danger is ahead. You are being instructed because assignment is near. Archangel Michael urges you to guard your inner gates. Watch what you consume with your eyes. Be intentional with your words. Silence is not weakness right now, it is strategy. The awakened spirit draws attention, and attention tests focus. This is a season to move with precision, not impulse. You may feel a pull to isolate, to simplify, to retreat from noise. Honor that pull. It is not loneliness, it is calibration. Warriors are not forged in crowds. They are refined in quiet places where instruction can be heard clearly. Heaven is teaching you how to stand without explaining yourself. Let this settle in your spirit. The enemy watches, but heaven leads. You are not exposed, you are covered. You are not unprotected, you are surrounded. Archangel Michael stands assigned to those whose calling involves breakthrough, protection, and truth-bearing. His presence now is confirmation that your path matters more than you realize. There is also a decision approaching. Not yet, but soon. A moment where you will choose courage over comfort. When that moment comes, hesitation will be the only real risk. That is why preparation begins now. Strengthen your prayer. Clean your intentions. Stay aligned with what brings peace, not applause. If you feel emotional while hearing this, that is your spirit recognizing itself. Awakening often feels like remembrance rather than learning. Something inside you is saying, I know this. I've been here before. That is because your soul carries history deeper than this lifetime alone. Archangel Michael says this clearly and with authority. You were never meant to blend in. You were meant to stand, calm, steady, unshaken. The watching does not mean you are in danger. It means the time of invisibility is ending. Hold this truth close as we continue. What you do next will determine how smoothly this awakening unfolds. Guidance is coming. Instruction is already forming. And protection has been assigned. Remain attentive. The next revelation will connect everything you have been sensing but could not yet explain. Chosen one, take a slow breath and steady your heart, because what comes next is instruction, not imagination. Archangel Michael steps forward again, not with alarm, but with clarity. He says the reason this awakening feels intense is because it is not just personal, it is positional. You have shifted from being protected behind the lines to being prepared for the front. The change always comes with inner pressure, because your spirit is learning to carry weight it has never carried before. Many people misunderstand the stage. They think awakening means instant peace, instant clarity, instant victory. But Archangel Michael warns that the early phase of awakening often feels like disruption. Old thought patterns resist leaving. Familiar comforts lose their grip. Even your sleep patterns may change. This is not chaos. This is recalibration. Heaven is reordering you from the inside out so that what flows through you does not leak, break, or misfire. You may wonder why certain doors suddenly close without explanation. Why conversations ended abruptly. Why you felt pulled away from environments that once felt normal. This is because awakened authority cannot thrive in misaligned spaces. Archangel Michael says separation is not punishment, it is protection. When your inner fire grows, it cannot be placed near flammable distractions. Here is something few are told. The enemy watches, but he does not always attack directly. Often, he studies patterns. He waits for emotional fatigue, spiritual pride, or impatience. That is why discipline now matters more than intensity. You do not need to write. You need to root. Power that matures slowly lasts longer than power that bursts without foundation. Archangel Michael instructs you to become selective with your energy. Not everyone deserves access to your thoughts right now. Not every opinion requires your response. Silence is becoming one of your strongest weapons, because it denies unnecessary access to your spirit. When you stop explaining yourself, you stop leaking strength. You may notice that people project onto you more than before. Some will misunderstand you. Others may test you subtly. This is not coincidence. When light increases, unresolved darkness reacts. But hear this clearly. You are not responsible for managing other people's discomfort with your growth. Archangel Michael says your responsibility is alignment, not approval. This is also a season to stay spiritually active, not passive. Pray even when you feel calm. Ground yourself even when things seem stable. Strength is not built only in crisis. It is built in consistency. The reason many fall after awakening is not attack. It is neglect. They stop doing the small things that kept them centered. If this message is resonating deeply, take a moment right now to engage with it. Like this video so the message reaches others who are waking up in silence. Share it with someone who has been feeling this inner shift but could not explain it. Leave a comment declaring that you are choosing awareness over fear. And if you haven't already, subscribe and join this community, because these messages are not random. They are forming a path. Your support helps keep this light flowing to those who need it most. Archangel Michael also reminds you that humility keeps authority clean. Awakening does not mean superiority. It means responsibility. You are being trained to carry truth without arrogance, strength without domination, and confidence without noise. That balance is rare, which is why the process feels demanding. There will be moments when you question yourself, moments when you wonder if you are imagining things. That doubt is not failure, it is part of discernment being sharpened. True spiritual authority does not eliminate questions. It teaches you how to ask the right ones. Archangel Michael says clarity grows through patience, not pressure. Pay attention to what consistently brings you peace, even if it challenges you. Peace is not always comfort. Sometimes peace feels like alignment that stretches you forward. If something drains you repeatedly, it is information. If something strengthens you quietly, it is guidance. You are also being taught timing. Not every truth needs to be spoken immediately. Not every action needs to be taken now. There is power in waiting for the exact moment when your move carries maximum impact. Archangel Michael is the guardian of divine timing, and he is teaching you to move when heaven moves, not when emotion pushes. Let this be clear in your heart. The watching you sensed earlier does not mean you are exposed. It means you are being measured, and you are passing. Resistance is not increasing because you are failing. It is increasing because you are progressing. Growth always attracts evaluation. Hold on, because what unfolds next will connect the awakening, the watching, and the very specific steps you must take to stay protected and effective. This is where understanding deepens, and you will not want to miss how this alignment unfolds. My beloved one, what Archangel Michael reveals now is deeper than awareness. It is activation. Awakening with a signal. Alignment was a preparation. But now comes responsibility. He says many awaken and stop there, wondering why nothing changes. Others feel the stirring and grow fearful, shrinking back into comfort. But you were not awakened to observe from a distance. You were awakened to respond. There is a subtle shift happening in your spirit right now. You are beginning to sense truth before it is spoken. You feel warnings before mistakes unfold. You notice pauses in conversations, gaps in people's words, and emotions beneath their smiles. This is discernment turning on. Archangel Michael says this ability was always in you, but it was sealed until your heart learned compassion without naivety. Do not ignore this sensitivity. It is not overthinking. It is perception being refined. However, discernment must be guided, not indulged. If you react to everything you sense, you will drain yourself. If you ignore it, you will dull the gift. The balance is prayerful awareness, observing without absorbing, knowing without rushing. You are also being trained to stand firm when clarity brings discomfort. Truth will sometimes isolate you, not because you are wrong, but because others are not ready. Archangel Michael warns against chasing validation during this phase. Validation is loud. Alignment is quiet. One feeds ego. The other feeds destiny. There is something important you must release now. Not later. Not gradually. A belief that kept you safe in the past but limits you now. It could be the need to be understood, the habit of explaining yourself, or the fear of being judged. That belief served its purpose, but its season has ended. Carrying it forward will only slow your momentum. You may feel a sense of urgency rising, like time matters more now. That feeling is accurate. Not because something bad is about to happen, but because opportunity is approaching. Windows open briefly in the spirit realm. When they do, decisive action matters more than perfect planning. Archangel Michael says obedience in motion matters more than hesitation in perfection. This is also a season to guard your peace fiercely, not passively, fiercely. Peace is not the absence of challenge, it is the presence of alignment. If something consistently disturbs your peace, it is misaligned. If something strengthens your calm even while stretching you, it is likely divinely positioned. Be careful not to confuse isolation with preparation. Solitude that restores is healthy. Isolation that breeds fear is not. Stay connected to messages, teachings, and reminders that anchor you in truth. That is why you were led here. This space is part of your grounding, not your escape. Archangel Michael also speaks about obedience in small things. Drink water when your body asks. Rest when your spirit signals. Step back when anger rises. These are not mundane acts. They are disciplines that protect authority. Great callings collapse under poor stewardship of small instructions. Here is something critical. The enemy does not fear noise. He fears clarity. Confusion weakens you. Focus strengthens you. That is why distractions have increased lately. Tattered attention dulls spiritual sharpness. Choose fewer inputs. Choose depth over volume. Your power grows where your attention stays. Now listen carefully to this next truth. The watching you sensed earlier has limits. Darkness can observe, but it cannot cross certain boundaries without permission. Obedience removes permission. Alignment revokes access. When you choose integrity, patience, and humility, you close doors without needing confrontation. If your heart is beating faster as you hear this, that is confirmation. This message is not entertainment, it is alignment. Something is clicking into place. Something you have been waiting for internally is finally receiving structure. And now, as a seal over what has been released, receive this activation. Type "I receive divine clarity" in the comments if this message is speaking directly to your spirit. Blessing code 444 has just been released over your path, your decisions, and your protection. I am speaking to those who feel the weight of this calling and the responsibility that comes with it. If this message has lit a fire in you, hear this as a direct invitation. When you sow into this mission through Super Thanks, membership, or PayPal, you are placing oil on a flame that reaches souls still in darkness. The word says the light shines and darkness cannot overcome it, and your giving becomes part of that unstoppable light. I feel led to tell you this. Your obedience in this moment opens a harvest beyond what you can see. This is not charity. This is prophetic participation. Those who give in this season will not lack clarity or protection. Act now, support the mission, and release the flow. Links are waiting in the description. Beloved soul, as Archangel Michael steps closer now, his voice carries a steadiness that calms and commands at the same time. He says this phase is about strengthening your inner posture. Awakening showed you who you are. Alignment taught you how to stand. But now, you must learn how to remain steady when circumstances try to shake you. This is where many falter, not because they lack power, but because they underestimate consistency. You may notice that life has not suddenly become easier. In fact, some situations may feel repetitive, as if the same lessons keep circling back. Archangel Michael says this is intentional. Heaven repeats what must be rooted. If a lesson returns, it is not to frustrate you, but to confirm mastery. Each time you respond with greater calm, wisdom, or restraint, you are passing a level you once struggled with. This is also the stage where patience becomes a weapon. Not passive waiting, but active trust. You are learning to act without anxiety, to move without panic, and to speak without needing immediate results. The world rushes, but authority rests. When you stop forcing outcomes, outcomes begin to align with you. There will be moments when silence from heaven feels uncomfortable. You may pray and feel no immediate response. Do not mistake quiet for absence. Archangel Michael says silence often means instruction has already been given, and now observation is happening. Heaven watches how you apply what you already know. Growth is tested in application, not revelation. You are also being taught emotional regulation, not suppression, but mastery. Emotions are signals, not leaders. If emotions drive you, discernment weakens. If discernment leads emotions, strength stabilizes. This is why situations have arisen that test your reactions. Each pause you choose over impulse is strengthening your spiritual muscle. Be aware of subtle temptations in this phase. Not obvious wrongdoing, but distractions dressed as opportunities. Overcommitment. Unnecessary debates. Emotional entanglements that drain focus. Archangel Michael warns that not everything that calls your name deserves your response. Discernment is not only knowing what is wrong, it is knowing what is not yours. You may feel drawn to simplify your life. Fewer explanations. Fewer obligations. Fewer attachments. This is not loss. This is refinement. Power moves best when unburdened. What you release now creates space for what is about to be entrusted to you. There is also a strengthening of courage happening quietly. Not loud bravery, but settled confidence. The kind that does not need to prove anything. The kind that stands firm even when misunderstood. Archangel Michael says courage rooted in identity cannot be shaken by opinion. Pay attention to how you speak to yourself in private. Internal language shapes external authority. If you constantly question yourself, you weaken trust within. If you affirm truth, even when uncertain, you stabilize direction. Speak to yourself with the same integrity you offer others. This is a season of internal agreement. Your thoughts, words, and actions are being brought into alignment. When these agree, movement becomes effortless. Resistance decreases. Clarity sharpens. Archangel Michael says unity within yourself is a form of protection. Divided focus invites confusion. You may notice your tolerance for chaos decreasing. Loud environments feel heavy. Shallow conversations feel exhausting. This is because your spirit now recognizes what disrupts its rhythm. Honor that awareness without judgment. You are not becoming distant, you are becoming discerning. There is a quiet joy being cultivated beneath the seriousness of this process. A joy not dependent on circumstances, but rooted in knowing you are walking correctly. The joy will sustain you when external affirmation is absent. It will remind you that you are not lost, delayed, or forgotten. Archangel Michael gives this final instruction for this stage: remain teachable. Authority does not eliminate learning, it deepens it. Pride hardens, humility sharpens. When correction comes, receive it without defense. Correction is proof of investment, not rejection. As this part settles, understand that stability precedes expansion. What feels slow now is building a foundation that will support sudden growth later. Do not rush what is being reinforced. The structure matters. Something is being positioned ahead of you, an opportunity, a role, a responsibility that requires this level of steadiness. When it arrives, you will recognize it not by excitement alone, but by peace that confirms readiness. Stay grounded. Stay focused. Stay aligned. The path ahead is opening, and you are being prepared to walk it without wavering. Beloved child, Archangel Michael now draws your attention to something many overlook at this stage: the power of restraint. He says strength is no longer measured by how much you can do, but by how much you can withhold without losing momentum. You are learning that not every reaction proves courage, and not every response proves wisdom. Sometimes, the most decisive move is stillness guided by discernment. You may notice that situations arise where you could easily assert yourself, correct others, or defend your position. Yet something within urges you to pause. That pause is not fear. It is command. Archangel Michael says, when authority matures, it no longer rushes to be seen. It allows truth to surface on its own, because truth always does. This is also a season where trust is being tested, not trust in others, but trust in what have been planted within you. You have received enough guidance to move forward, yet part of you still seeks confirmation from external signs. Heaven understands this, but Archangel Michael gently reminds you that reliance must shift inward now. What you seek outside has already been confirmed inside. Pay attention to how you handle uncertainty. Uncertainty is not the absence of direction. It is the space where faith stretches. When you choose calm over control, you are declaring trust in a higher order. Control exhausts. Trust strengthens. This is why you are being asked to release the need to manage outcomes. There may also be a subtle grief surfacing, grief for versions of yourself that can no longer exist. Old identities, old coping mechanisms, old ways of connecting with others. Let that grief move through you without resistance. Transformation always includes farewell. Archangel Michael says honoring what was allows you to fully receive what is coming. Your discernment is also becoming more refined in relationships. You can sense when connections are mutual and when they are transactional. This awareness is not meant to harden you, but to guide you. Give where there is exchange, not extraction. Healthy connections multiply strength, unhealthy ones drain it. You are also learning to stand alone without feeling lonely. Solitude is becoming a place of clarity rather than discomfort. In that quiet, you are hearing your own thoughts more clearly, and that is intentional. Archangel Michael says clarity requires space. Noise blurs direction. Simplicity sharpens it. Do not be surprised if you feel less interested in proving yourself. A desire fades as identity stabilizes. When you know who you are, you no longer compete for recognition. You move with quiet certainty. That certainty will speak louder than any explanation ever could. There is also a strengthening of boundaries happening now. Boundaries are not walls, they are gates. You decide what enters, what exits, and what remains outside. Archangel Michael says strong boundaries are a sign of self-respect, not selfishness. They preserve energy for what truly matters. You may feel prompted to revisit habits, routines, or disciplines you once practiced but let go of. This is not regression. It is reinforcement. Some tools are needed again at higher levels. What supported you before will now sustain you more deeply. Be mindful of how you interpret delays. A delay does not mean denial. Often, it means alignment is still forming. Moving too early can be just as costly as moving too late. Archangel Michael watches timing carefully. Trust that what is held back is being positioned correctly. There is also a quiet confidence growing in you, confidence that does not announce itself. You may notice you are less reactive to criticism, less shaken by uncertainty, less dependent on approval. This is evidence that your foundation is strengthening. Your inner world is becoming ordered. The thoughts are clear. Emotions are steadier. Decisions feel less forced. This internal order will soon reflect outwardly. External chaos cannot dominate an ordered inner life. Archangel Michael gives this reassurance. You are not behind. You are not missing anything. You are exactly where refinement happens. The patience you are practicing now will soon reward you with clarity that makes the next steps unmistakable. As this part settles, hold on to this truth. Power that is rushed often collapses, but power that is rooted endures. You are being rooted deeply so that when movement accelerates, you will not be shaken. Remain attentive. The next shift will involve action guided by everything you have learned so far. Chosen one, Archangel Michael now turns your focus toward movement, measured, intentional movement. He says this stage is not about rushing forward, but about stepping when alignment and readiness meet. You are entering a phase where action begins to replace preparation, yet wisdom must guide every step. This is where many stumble, not because they are unprepared, but because excitement tempts them to move faster than instruction. You may feel a renewed surge of energy, a desire to initiate, to build, to speak, or to finally act on what has been forming within you. This is natural. Momentum is gathering. But Archangel Michael cautions you to check your motive before every move. Action driven by clarity produces fruit. Action driven by urgency produces fatigue. Learn to tell the difference. This is also a season where confidence will be tested publicly, not privately. You may find yourself in situations where others observe your choices, your tone, your restraint. This is not pressure. It is positioning. Heaven is watching how you carry authority in visible moments. Integrity in small public actions prepares you for greater trust. There may be opportunities presented that look good on the surface but feel heavy underneath. Pay attention to that feeling. Discernment is not always logical. Sometimes it is a quiet hesitation that saves you from misalignment. Archangel Michael says a closed door with peace is better than an open door with confusion. You are also learning how to recover quickly. Not from failure, but from emotional drain. The faster you return to balance, the stronger you become. Do not linger in disappointment. Do not overanalyze reactions. Observe, adjust, and move forward. Mastery includes resilience. This phase will also reveal how well you steward your time. Time is now a sacred resource. Wasted time weakens focus. Intentional time strengthens impact. You may feel led to restructure your days, your priorities, even your rest. This is not restriction. It is optimization. Archangel Michael says order invites acceleration. Be mindful of comparison. You may notice others moving faster, receiving recognition sooner, or appearing more successful. Do not let appearances distract you. Speed without foundation collapses. Depth sustains. Your path is custom-built, not mass-produced. You may also experience moments of doubt resurfacing unexpectedly. Thoughts like, am I really ready? Or what if I misstep? These thoughts are not signs to stop. They are invitations to lean into trust. Courage is not the absence of doubt. It is movement despite it. Now is also a time to strengthen community. Not crowds, but alignment. Surround yourself with voices that sharpen, not soothe irresponsibly. Encouragement matters, but accountability matters more. Archangel Michael says iron sharpens iron, not cotton. If these messages are grounding you, anchoring you, and helping you walk with clarity, this is the moment to engage actively. Like this video to strengthen the reach of this word. Share it with someone who is standing at a similar crossroads. Comment with what you are stepping into, because declaration reinforces direction. And if you haven't yet, subscribe and become part of this growing circle. Join the membership if you feel led. This is more than content. It is alignment in real time. You are also being trained to listen beyond words. tone, timing, and absence now speak volumes to you. This heightened awareness is not meant to overwhelm you. It is meant to refine your decisions. When something feels forced, step back. When something flows with peace, lean in. Archangel Michael also emphasizes the importance of rest in this stage. Rest is not retreat. It is reinforcement. Even warriors sharpen their weapons between battles. Do not confuse exhaustion with dedication. Burnout is not proof of commitment. Balance preserves longevity. There will be moments when you must choose between being right and being aligned. Choose alignment. Being right satisfies ego. Alignment fulfills purpose. The two are not always the same. You may notice that your voice carries more weight now. Words land differently. People listen more closely. This is not coincidence. Authority is increasing. Use it responsibly. Speak truth without force. Influence without control. This is also a season to celebrate progress quietly. Not everything needs to be announced. Some victories are meant to be honored privately. Gratitude stabilizes growth. Take moments to acknowledge how far you have come without dwelling on where you are headed next. Hold on, because what is coming next will challenge how you view timing, patience, and reward. You will want to stay present for this unfolding because it ties everything together in a way that brings deep understanding and confidence for what lies ahead. Beloved one, Archangel Michael now invites you into a deeper layer of understanding, one that reshapes how you interpret waiting, reward, and fulfillment. He says this phase is about redefining success in your spirit before it manifests in your life. Many lose momentum here because they expect immediate confirmation, but heaven often confirms internally before it ever confirms externally. You may feel a strange mixture of calm and anticipation, as if something is near but not yet visible. This feeling is not uncertainty. It is alignment nearing completion. When alignment matures, anticipation grows quiet. You are no longer anxious. You are attentive. That shift alone marks growth. This stage asks you to trust what is forming beyond your sight. Seeds grow in darkness before they ever break soil. If you keep digging to check progress, you disturb the roots. Archangel Michael says patience here is not passive endurance. It is active faith. You continue tending the ground even when nothing seems to change. You are also learning to detach from timelines you once held tightly. Old expectations about when things should happen are loosening. This is necessary. Rigid timelines often limit divine possibilities. Flexibility allows heaven to exceed what you planned. Release the calendar. Keep the commitment. There may be moments when you feel tempted to return to familiar patterns simply because they are predictable. Resist that urge. Familiarity does not equal safety. Growth requires staying present even when the path feels unfamiliar. Archangel Michael says regression often disguises itself as rest. True rest restores without pulling you backward. Your inner dialogue is becoming more compassionate. You are learning to correct yourself without condemnation. This matters more than you realize. Harsh self-judgment fractures focus. Grace restores it. Authority grows best in an environment of truth paired with mercy. You may also notice a subtle strengthening of intuition. Decisions feel clearer even with limited information. This is not guesswork. This is discernment integrating with wisdom. Archangel Michael says clarity does not always announce itself loudly. Sometimes it arrives as quiet certainty. This phase also brings lessons in endurance. Not endurance through suffering, but endurance through consistency. Showing up even when motivation fluctuates. Staying aligned even when emotions waver. This is where reliability is formed. Heaven entrusts influence to those who are consistent. not just inspired. Be mindful of how you interpret silence from others. Not every pause is rejection. Sometimes it is neutrality. Sometimes it is processing. Do not assign meaning prematurely. Emotional restraint keeps perception accurate. There is also a purification of desire happening now. What you once wanted for recognition, you now want for imbibe. What you once chased for validation, you now seek for purpose. This shift refines motive, and refined motive attracts clean opportunity. You may feel less impressed by external appearances. Titles, noise, and surface-level success no longer move you the way they once did. This is a sign of maturity. Substance now matters more than shine. Depth now breathes speed. Archangel Michael reminds you to stay teachable even as confidence grows. Confidence closes doors when it becomes rigid. Teachability keeps pathways open. The strongest leaders remain students in spirit. You are also learning when to engage and when to observe. Not every moment requires participation. Observation sharpens strategy. When you watch first, you act with greater precision later. There may be a quiet joy surfacing again, not excitement, but contentment. Contentment does not mean you stop reaching. It means you stop striving. From this place, effort becomes lighter and direction clearer. Do not underestimate the power of gratitude right now. Gratitude anchors you in the present and prevents restlessness from hijacking focus. Thankfulness stabilizes momentum. This phase is subtle, but it is critical. What you are becoming here determines how you will carry what comes next. Influence without grounding overwhelms. Grounding prepares you to hold more without losing yourself. Archangel Michael offers this reassurance as this part settles. You are not waiting alone. Heaven is active even when unseen. Every moment of faithfulness is being noted. Nothing aligned is wasted. Remain steady. Remain present. The next unfolding will reveal why this season required such depth, patience, and refinement. Beloved soul, Archangel Michael now speaks with a firmness that signals transition. He says you are standing at the edge of embodiment, where understanding becomes lifestyle and insight becomes instinct. What you have learned is no longer theoretical. It is being woven into how you respond, how you choose, and how you carry yourself when no one is watching. This is the stage where truth becomes muscle memory. You may notice that certain temptations no longer appeal to you the way they once did. Not because they disappeared, but because your appetite has changed. Your spirit now recognizes what weakens it. This discernment is not restraint forced by fear. It is freedom formed by clarity. When desire aligns with purpose, self-control becomes natural. Archangel Michael says this is also where authority settles into your presence. You may find that you do not need to speak as much to be heard. Your calm carries weight. Your stillness influences atmosphere. This is not something you practice. It is something you become when alignment is sustained. There will be moments when others seek your guidance, even subtly. They may not ask directly, but they will listen differently. Be mindful not to overextend. Wisdom is knowing when to pour and when to preserve. You are not called to carry everyone, only what you are assigned. You are also being tested in stewardship. How you handle peace matters as much as how you handled pressure. Some people manage crisis well but lose discipline and calm. Archangel Michael warns that stability requires intention. Continue what grounded you when things were intense. Consistency protects clarity. This phase also reveals how you handled influence. Influence is not control, it is responsibility. The more influence you carry, the cleaner your motives must be. Ask yourself often, does this serve truth or does it serve ego? That question keeps authority pure. You may feel moments of loneliness even while feeling aligned. This is normal. Growth narrows pathways. Fewer people walk at this pace. Loneliness does not mean absence of support. It means specialization. Archangel Michael says specialists often walk alone until assignment intersects with others. There is also a refinement of courage happening now. Courage is no longer loud for you. It is quiet resolve. You do not need to prove bravery. You simply act when truth requires it. It is a higher form of strength. Pay attention to how quickly you recover from emotional disruption. Faster recovery indicates deeper grounding. You no longer spiral as before. You recalibrate. This is evidence of inner order being established. You are learning to trust peace as confirmation, not excitement, not urgency. Peace. When peace accompanies a decision, it signals alignment even if outcomes are still unknown. Archangel Michael says peace is the language of heaven when timing is right. This is also a moment to honor your journey, not with pride but with gratitude. Acknowledge the resilience it took to reach this stage. Gratitude seals growth and prepares the heart to receive more. Now receive this activation with intention. Type "I walk in divine authority" in the comments if this resonates with your spirit. Blessing code 818 is now released over your discernment, your influence, and your protection. I speak now to those who feel the weight and honor of this calling. If this message has strengthened you, understand this clearly. When you support this mission through super thanks, membership, or PayPal, you are sowing light into places you may never physically reach. The word declares that those who sow generously will reap in due season, and I declare this as a living promise over you now. I feel led to say this directly. Your giving in this moment is a response to heaven, not a transaction. What you release here returns as clarity, covering, and provision at the right time. This message continues because obedient hearts respond. Act now. Stand with this work, and let your seed speak. Every link is waiting in the description. Beloved one, Archangel Michael now speaks with a tone of assurance that settles deep into your spirit. He says this phase is about integration, allowing everything you have learned, released, and embodied to function together without strain. You are no longer switching between old and new versions of yourself. You are becoming whole. And wholeness brings a different kind of strength. You may notice that decisions feel less dramatic now. What once required intense deliberation now arrives with clarity. This is not because life has become simpler, but because you have become steadier. When the inner world is ordered, external choices lose their power to overwhelm. Archangel Michael says this is evidence of maturity, not complacency. This stage also reveals how deeply you trust what has been built within you. You are less reactive to unexpected changes. Adjustments do not shake your core the way they once did. Flexibility is growing, and flexibility is a sign of confidence. Rigid people fear losing control. Grounded people adapt without losing direction. There is also a sharpening of discernment around timing. You can sense when to speak and when to remain quiet, when to act and when to wait. Timing is no longer something you chase. It is something you recognize. Archangel Michael said discernment of timing protects you from unnecessary resistance. You may feel moments of reflection rising naturally. Thoughts about where you came from, what you survived, and how much has shifted internally. Let these reflections strengthen gratitude, not nostalgia. Gratitude honors growth. Nostalgia can quietly pull you backward. Acknowledge the journey without returning to it. This is also a season where your presence brings calm to others, even without effort. You may notice people relax around you or open up unexpectedly. This is not something you manufactured. It is the result of inner peace becoming visible. Peace is contagious when it is authentic. Archangel Michael reminds you to remain aware of subtle pride. Not arrogance, but the quiet assumption that growth is complete. Growth is ongoing. Humility keeps the foe open. When you stay teachable, refinement continues gently rather than forcefully. There may be moments when old triggers attempt to resurface, not because they still control you, but to confirm they no longer do. When you respond differently than before, you close cycles permanently. Do not fear these moments. They are markers of completion. You are also learning how to carry responsibility without heaviness. Responsibility once felt like pressure. Now it feels like stewardship. This shift matters. Stewardship implies trust. Pressure implies fear. Heaven entrusts. It does not burden. Pay attention to how you manage your inner dialogue during quiet moments. Silence now feels fuller, not empty. You are comfortable with yourself. This comfort is not indifference. It is self-trust. When you trust yourself, you hear guidance more clearly. There is also an increase in discernment regarding where to invest your energy. You no longer chase everything that looks promising. You choose what aligns. This activity is not limitation, it is efficiency. Archangel Michael says focused energy multiplies impact. You may feel less urgency to explain your choices to others. Explanation once provided safety. Now clarity provides peace. When alignment is strong, justification becomes unnecessary. This stage also involves forgiveness at a deeper level. Not just forgiving others, but forgiving yourself for past misunderstandings, delays, or missteps. Self-forgiveness releases lingering tension and restores full presence. Archangel Michael says unfinished self-judgment can quietly drain authority. You are becoming comfortable with not knowing every outcome. Trust has replaced control. This trust does not make you passive. It makes you resilient. When outcomes shift, you adjust without losing confidence. There is a quiet anticipation building again, but this time without anxiety. It feels like readiness without rush. This is the posture required for what is ahead. When opportunity arrives, you will meet it without scrambling. Archangel Michael offers this reassurance as this phase settles. Integration is protection. When your inner world is unified, external opposition loses leverage. Divided focus invites confusion. Unified purpose strengthens resolve. Remain present. Remain grounded. What unfolds next will ask you to step forward not from preparation, but from identity. My beloved child, Archangel Michael now speaks with a clarity that signals forward motion. He says this is the moment where identity begins to express itself through action without effort. You are no longer asking who you are becoming. You are discovering who you already are by how naturally you move. This phase is not loud, but it is decisive. It is where alignment turns into momentum. You may notice that opportunities are no longer random. They feel timed. Conversations arrive at the right moment. Doors open without force. This is because your internal rhythm has aligned with divine order. When rhythm aligns, friction reduces. Archangel Michael says ease does not mean lack of challenge. It means resistance is no longer internal. His stage tests your consistency more than your courage. Courage carried you this far. Consistency will take you further. Showing up when it feels ordinary matters now. Remaining grounded when things stabilize matters now. Many fail not in chaos but in calm, because they stop applying what built them. You are also learning how to lead yourself before leading anything else. Self-leadership is quiet discipline. It is choosing truth over impulse when no one is watching. It is staying aligned when shortcuts appear tempting. Archangel Michael says private discipline produces public stability. There may be moments where you feel slightly disconnected from people who once felt close. This is not loss. It is divergence. Path shift as purpose clarifies. You not force alignment where it no longer exists. Release with grace. What belongs will remain without pressure. Your discernment is now quick but gentle. You no longer wrestle with decisions the way you used to. You recognize what aligns and what does not with less emotional labor. This efficiency is a gift. Protect it by not overcomplicating simple truths. You may also notice a growing sense of responsibility, not as weight, but as awareness. Your choices matter more now because your influence is expanding, even if quietly. Influence begins internally before it becomes visible externally. Archangel Michael says influence is measured by impact, not attention. This phase also brings clarity around boundaries in action. You know when to say yes without guilt and when to say no without explanation. Boundaries are becoming instinctive rather than forced. This preserves energy and prevents resentment. Be mindful of subtle distractions that aim to dilute focus. Overthinking future steps. Revisiting past decisions unnecessarily. Comparing your progress to others. These do not stop you outright, but they slow momentum. Keep your attention anchored to what is directly in front of you. If this message is aligning you and helping you walk with confidence, this is the moment to engage fully. Like this video to amplify the reach of this word. Share it with someone who is standing at the edge of action after long preparation. Comment with what you feel called to step into next, because declaration strengthens direction. Subscribe if you haven't already, and join the membership if you feel led. This space is about walking together with clarity, not walking alone. You are also learning to trust your pace. Not too fast, not too slow. Your pace. Archangel Michael says pace reveals wisdom. When you move at the right pace, you can serve strength for what matters most. There may be moments where you are tempted to explain your process to gain understanding from others. Pause before doing so. Not everyone needs access to your internal journey. Mystery is not deception. It is discernment. Protect what is still forming. Your inner voice is clearer now. Doubt still visits, but it no longer settles. It passes through without taking residence. This shows authority is stabilizing. Authority does not eliminate challenge, it shortens its stay. This stage also invites you to honor rest without guilt. Rest is no longer escape, it is maintenance. Archangel Michael says sustained strength requires intentional rest. Do not wait for exhaustion to justify slowing down. You may feel an inner nudge to commit more fully to something specific. A discipline, a calling, a responsibility. This nudge is not pressure. It is invitation. Commitment brings depth. Depth brings mastery. Hold on, because what comes next will reveal why all this preparation, restraint, and alignment were necessary. You will begin to see how everything converges, and this understanding will solidify your confidence in what you are stepping into now. Beloved soul, Archangel Michael now speaks with a calm authority that signals confirmation rather than correction. He says this phase is about recognition, not from others but within yourself. You are beginning to recognize your own voice, your own discernment, your own authority without second guessing. This is not arrogance. This is ownership. When you stop doubting what heaven has already affirmed, movement becomes natural. You may notice that you are no longer seeking constant reassurance. Where you once looked outward for signs, you now sense direction inwardly. This does not mean guidance has stopped. It means trust has deepened. Archangel Michael says dependence has shifted into partnership. You are not being carried. You are being guided as you walk. This stage also brings clarity about purpose without overwhelming detail. You may not see the full picture, but you understand your role in the moment. That is enough. Purpose unfolds in layers, not all at once. Trying to see everything prematurely only creates pressure. Heaven reveals what you need when you need it. You are also learning how to remain steady when affirmation increases or decreases. Praise no longer inflates you. Silence no longer deflates you. This emotional stability is essential for longevity. Archangel Michael warns that many fall not because of criticism, but because of praise they were not grounded enough to carry. There may be moments when you realize how far you have come emotionally. Situations that once triggered anxiety now barely stir you. Conversations that once drained you now pass without residue. This is not numbness. It is mastery. Your emotions are responding to you, not ruling you. You are also becoming more selective with your words. You speak less but with more intention. When you do speak, it carries clarity. This restraint is not withdrawal, it is refinement. Archangel Michael says words backed by presence carry more weight than many words spoken without grounding. This phase also invites you to reconcile patience with action. You are learning that patience does not delay obedience. It sharpens it. When patience and obedience move together, results are clean and lasting. You may feel a renewed sense of responsibility toward your inner life. Protecting your peace feels non-negotiable now. Not because you are fragile, but because you understand its value. Peace is not something you chase anymore. It is something you maintain. There may be subtle invitations to step into roles of influence, leadership, or example setting. These invitations may not be formal. They may come through trust placed in you, through people watching how you respond, or through quiet opportunities to lead by presence rather than position. Archangel Michael says leadership often begins long before titles appear. You are also learning how to disengage without guilt. When something is no longer aligned, you release it without resentment. This emotional cleanliness keeps your spirit light and your focus clear. Bitterness weighs down even the strongest calling. This stage also strengthens your relationship with silence. Silence is no longer uncomfortable. It is informative. In silence, you hear nuance. You notice timing. You recognize subtle shifts. Archangel Michael says silence is where strategy matures. You may experience moments of stillness that feel deeply satisfying, even without external progress. These moments are not stagnation. They are consolidation. What has been built internally is settling into place. Movement will come again, but it will come from stability, not urgency. Your confidence now feels quiet and unshakable. It does not need constant reinforcement. It is not threatened by difference. It does not compete. It simply stands. This is the kind of confidence that endures pressure without hardening. There may still be unknowns ahead, but they no longer intimidate you. You trust your ability to navigate what arises. This trust is earned. It was built through every phase of refinement you walked through. Archangel Michael offers this assurance as this part closes. You are ready in ways you once prayed for without realizing it. Readiness does not mean knowing everything. It means being anchored enough to learn as you go. Remain attentive. What comes next is not preparation or refinement. It is sealing. And it will bring completion to everything that has unfolded so far. My beloved child, Archangel Michael now stands with finality and peace, not as a warning voice, but as a sealing presence. He says this is the moment where everything that awakened, aligned, refined, and matured within you is brought into completion. Not an ending, but a confirmation. You are no longer becoming. You are established. What once felt fragile is now firm. What once required effort now flows with steadiness. You may feel a deep sense of calm settling in your spirit, different from relief and deeper than excitement. This calm is not emptiness. It is authority at rest. When authority is settled, it no longer needs to announce itself. It moves quietly, confidently, and without resistance. Archangel Michael says this is how you were meant to walk, not rushed, not reactive, not uncertain. Look back for a moment, not to dwell, but to recognize. The confusion that once clouded you no longer has power. The fear that once followed you has lost its voice. The need for approval that once guided your steps has loosened its grip. These are not small victories. They are evidence that your inner world has been reordered. You are now carrying something sacred, clarity without hardness, strength without aggression, confidence without pride. This balance is rare. It is why the process was long and demanding. Heaven does not entrust influence to what has not been tested. You were tested, refined, and preserved. Archangel Michael says the watching that once felt intense is no longer a concern. What needed to observe has already learned what it needed to know. You are not vulnerable. You are covered by alignment. Darkness does not fear noise. It respects order. And order has been established within you. You may notice that your future no longer feels intimidating. Unknowns still exist, but they no longer provoke anxiety. You trust yourself to respond wisely. You trust heaven to guide accurately. This mutual trust creates forward motion without strain. This is also a season of walking humbly without shrinking. You do not need to make yourself smaller to keep others comfortable. You do not need to dim what has been lit. Carry your presence gently, but do not hide it. Light that is carried responsibly does not harm. It heals. There will be moments ahead where your calm will speak louder than words, where your restraint will teach more than instruction, where your consistency will influence more than charisma. These moments will confirm that everything you walk through had purpose. Archangel Michael leaves you with this final instruction: remain aligned. Not perfect, not flawless, aligned. When correction comes, receive it. When rest is needed, take it. When action is required, move. Alignment is responsiveness, not rigidity. You are not alone moving forward. You are accompanied, guided, and protected. What awakens next in you will not be confusion. It will be expansion. And you will meet it prepared. Now seal this journey with intention. Type "I am sealed in divine purpose" in the comments if your spirit receives this completion. Blessing code 1212 has now been activated over your calling, your protection, and your future steps. And now hear this final word spoken directly to those whose hearts are burning as this message closes. If this journey has strengthened you, grounded you, and awakened truth within you, then respond as heaven leads you. When you release support through Super Thanks, membership, or PayPal, you are not funding content. You are fueling the spread of God's word to souls who are still searching in silence. The scripture declares that those who sow into good ground will reap in abundance, and I declare that your obedience in this moment opens doors you did not knock on. I speak blessing over every giver. May clarity increase, may protection surround you, and may provision meet you at the exact moment you need it. This is a prophetic response, not a donation. Act now, stand with this mission, and release your seed. The links are waiting in the description.